the goals and assists is key. The versatility, he can play everywhere. He can play both wings. He can play central. My guess is we're signing him to go into number 8.
Yeah.
One of those 8 roles. But we've all been saying for a long time, well, what do you do if Mohamed Salah doesn't play?
Exactly.
He can go. He played the majority of last season at right wing. The year before, he was playing a lot at left wing. So he's got a lot to him. So it does. If I can understand the link makes sense, and it's one I imagine. Again, we were very quick in putting the show together, but looking at the buzz online and stuff like that, it felt like there was a lot of people, in the camp of he's a really good buy. And I would tend to agree with that. I think it would be a very good sign if Liverpool can get it.
Yeah.
It won't be easy. Newcastle are apparently sniffing around and all that kind of stuff. But for me, again, I go back to it, he ticks a lot of the right boxes. Pretty much all the boxes that you want, in fact. For what you expect from a Liverpool signing, I think he ticks pretty much all of them.
Yeah, and this isn't just one season. This isn't on the back of one season. He did it the season before. Obviously, he mentioned, last season he got 10 goals and 13 assists. In 21-22, he played 45 games, got 10 goals and registered 9 assists. I mean, it's 2 games. Ever since he joined there, he joined in only 2021. And since he's been there, he's been a main man. And I know it's the Bundesliga, but the Bundesliga have really good quality. And he's been in the Champions League, like I mentioned earlier. Let's move on to more pros, and you hinted at it there. A massive pro is his extreme versatility as a footballer. And if we weren't just looking and identifying the age of him being really what Liverpool are after, there is something that Klopp's after more than anything, and that's a player who can do a job in 3 or 4 positions. Looking at it last season, he played as a right winger 24 times. He also played as a right mid 8 times, 7 games as a left winger, 3 as an attacking mid, and 3 as a central centre mid as well. So it's very clear that he's got loads of versatility. And since he actually, across his all season, he's played 59 times as a central midfielder and 37 as attacking midfielder. He's even played centre forward once. It's brilliant to see. And it goes back to that box system that we're playing. Yeah, he's more attacking, but he's done the centre mid role before. If we really needed, to drop Salah for a game, give him a rest. We talk about the fact that the AFCON's coming up. Yeah. We won't have him. If we can makeshift him into this right winger and he can still be brilliant for us, there's so many positives with this deal, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think the AFCON's a really good point, actually. We are looking at the squad going into this season. I know January is a long way off, but you're looking at it going, if Egypt gets to the final and Salah's away for a month and a bit, who's our right winger? And you're looking at the options now. Elliott might go there, Luis Diaz can go over there, Diogo Jota's gone there as well. I don't think any of those would be ideal. I think there's pros and cons. I think you put Szoboszlai in there, and wherever he's been playing, and you go, listen, you're going to do a month and a half, mate, at right wing, and he'd be like, well, sound, I've just played like 24 or 25 games there last season, no problem. I also think, it's a path well trodden. Salzburg to Leipzig, to Liverpool, like he'll be schooled in the way, in the way of Liverpool playing. He'll be able to do the high tempo, the press and stuff like that. That's one thing I think, we've signed players from that club before, and one of the reasons Liverpool do it is because they know they're used to it. It's not the same, obviously, because everyone's got their slight differences, but there's a general acceptance that the styles are pretty similar. Yeah. What's expected of certain Leipzig players is also expected of Liverpool players, and Ibu Konate comes from there, obviously Naby Keita. We've been there, we've done that. They tried to get Timo Werner, similar things. So they obviously like the Leipzig schooling as well, and rightly so. It looks like a very good place for players to come through and develop that Red Bull system. So yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. The money is the money. I don't know where we're at with the money thing. Like I say, the £60 million feels...
Seems a lot.
It does, but then it also, Mason Mount's going for similar.
Yeah. And he's younger.
He's a bit younger. The contract situation isn't as bad as Mason Mount. Now, obviously, you pay the English tax on Mason Mount, and I understand that. But
he's also chose Manchester United. Liverpool were in for him, and he's just decided to choose Manchester United over Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp won't want that mentality. We now no longer want you. If you chose someone else over us, you can go there. We won't come back in for you. But another interesting factor, and I'll ask you where you would play him, and later on I'll ask you, if we did sign him, what your midfield would look like, obviously with Alexis McAllister also in there. The positive is, at central midfield is actually where he's been the most creative. In 59 games as a centre mid, he's scored 15 goals and registered 24 assists. How many years have we sat here when we've been going for the titles and we've said, we rely so much on our front three, and without Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino, along with Mo Salah, and that front three that was literally killer to anyone. They were so ruthless. Without that, we need to make sure that the goals that we've now lost, we can pick up elsewhere. And him getting that many goals and that many assists as that centre mid, if he can play that box for us, it's just it looks like he is the player for us, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're right. What I would say is that, like, I know you agree this, so I might be preaching to the choir a bit, but I think we've all got our doubts whether Luis Diaz is going to get the volume of goals that Liverpool lost from Sadio Mane. Salah will score, so don't worry about Salah. Gakpo, is he an upgrade on Firmino and maybe Jota? I don't know, time will tell, but you're right. You want to take the burden off some of those players. Liverpool, Mohamed Salah scored bags full last season and Liverpool was still rubbish. Yeah. You could do with another couple of players getting in there on there as well. So that's the main positive from Szoboszlai for me, is that the fact that he looks like he gets into those areas. I think that if we are going to stick, and again, presuming we're going to stick with the 5 attackers effectively, the 2 behind the 3, they're going to be closer to goal. You want someone there who's comfortable with that. That's why I've heard a lot of people say get Trent up there, and I was like, no, even if Trent's going in midfield, I still want him deeper. Yeah. I don't want him I want him. He's not really a natural in those areas. So for me, Szoboszlai looks like he knows he's in and around the box. He knows what it likes to score goals. He knows what it's like to assist goals. So again, that's a huge positive. In terms of where I think he'd play, that's the beauty really, is that who knows? Like my guess is, I don't know what the plans are, but you could see a world where it's a DM for now, say Fabinho with McAllister left 8. Szoboszlai right 8, and then you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got Curtis Jones, you've got Thiago, you've got Jordan Henderson, you've got Stefan Bajcetic. You might get maybe one more like a DM rather, a Lavia or whoever else it is, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, there we go, because effectively what Szoboszlai could become, Chloe, is like, he's what Oxlade-Chamberlain was. He was a midfielder who can play wide, and it's up to you where you pick him, but the return, touch wood, the returns you get from having Szoboszlai over Oxlade-Chamberlain is obvious. Oxlade-Chamberlain was never going to double-digit goals, double-digit assists. I take into account that he's done it in Germany, and it might be different coming to England. I do, but in general, a goal scorer is a goal scorer. I think that does translate. There's a familiarity with being in and around the box and putting the ball in the back of the net. So I think there will be certain games where, Liverpool, if you're expected to go and you're expected to win, or you want to, break down a team who might be coming to sit deep and defend, well then you do go all guns out, and you put McAllister and Szoboszlai behind Salah, Gakpo, Jota, or whoever it is, pick whatever, Nunes, whoever, and you go, right, there's 5 lads there who look like they can get the ball in the back of the net. That's a far cry from at times last season when it was, it was Harvey Elliott, Jordan Henderson, James Milner, Fabinho. They never score. They never score goals. They just don't, none of them do really. Elliott should, and maybe hopefully will, but the others don't really do it. Even Thiago doesn't score many. He scores screamers, but he doesn't score consistent goals. So all of a sudden, there's more lads on the pitch who look a goal threat. It's what City have been brilliant at. Behind whoever plays up front for them, whoever plays wide, Gundogan and De Bruyne can score in any game. Any game whatsoever. They're playing in those effective, the 2 in front of Rodri, and they're always a goal threat. That has not been the case with Liverpool. Jordan Henderson, Thiago, Elliott, Milner, Curtis, maybe we'll see at the end of the season yet, but in general, his record for Liverpool, goal scoring wise, isn't great. Therefore, there's a clear night and day between those. I mean, there's a lot of differences between those two sides, but that is one definite one. Is like, if Mo Salah has a bad day, I fancy us. Yeah, well, the more lads you can get on the pitch who negate that risk is a huge positive.
Yeah, you mentioned Harvey Elliott there. Let's look at some statistics then. For progressive carries, Szoboszlai obviously has played a lot more games, a lot more minutes. He's played 4,182 minutes compared to Harvey Elliott's 2,469. But his progressive carries, is 93.9% in comparison to Harvey Elliott's 87.4%. His forward passing, his forward passes is only 33.6%, where Harvey Elliott is actually 70.2%. His forward pass accuracy, however, is a little bit better. We've got key passes though, and here's a massive jump. Szoboszlai is on 97.8 compared to Harvey Elliott's 83.6. And we've spoke about Harvey Elliott and us not knowing where exactly he fits into this system. He's, by the stats, I mean, he's 20 and these stats aren't that far off a lad who we're all sat here saying is 60 mil. So it's actually looking really good for Harvey Elliott as well. But the key passes is extremely important. The 97.8%. I mean, that unlocks teams. And I think when we signed Thiago, a lot of people thought he would be the pre-assist, the kind of player who can unlock the door for that player to then pass and get the assist. And having another person like that in our team, but also a person who defensively, his defensive actions is just slightly better than Harvey Elliott. That is another plus. It's someone who can unlock a door, and we know how much teams love to sit behind and sit deep between against Liverpool, especially at Anfield. To have someone who just makes that many key passes, it's going to give us more options on the football pitch, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, I think we're all enthused by Harvey Elliott, but we haven't quite figured out what he is yet. Yep. Whether Jürgen knows, whatever, he's been played in a few different roles. You are right. It's like Liverpool are lacking a little bit of that. We've always said for a while now, Liverpool's creativity comes from the full-backs. Well, if we're not going to play full-backs anymore, then someone else has got to do that. You know what I mean? And it worked. Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, people say, oh, Liverpool need more creativity in midfield. It was like, well, both of these lads are getting double-digit assists all the time. Yep. The way we play is either the full-backs assist or the strikers assist each other. Now, we haven't got those full-backs anymore. We haven't. Trent Alexander-Arnold is effectively going into midfield. Andy Robertson's playing as almost a de facto left centre-half. Yep. Or someone else is going to have to take the strain of that, take the pressure off that. So, again, it's another reason why I don't know if worry is the right word, but like trying to piece together Liverpool's thinking in the transfer market can often be very, very difficult. But there are certain things that when they appear, it just makes sense. And this just makes sense for a whole lot of reasons. It suggests they might fancy sticking with the box midfield more than a 4-3-3, where you're thinking maybe he isn't exactly the ideal person to do that role. But this one added on to McAllister, added on to the links linking Liverpool with the Thuram or Alavia. You can see the dots connecting there, and all of a sudden, what looked like a little bit like a couple of days ago when heads were falling off, it looked like Liverpool haven't got a clue what they're doing. It might have. They might not get this deal done. But it looks like when David Ornstein reports it, Paul Gorst reports in the Echo that there's apparently been a meeting with his representatives. Like, this feels legit. It feels like there's definitely something in it, and like I say, it makes a lot of sense, and it should be putting a lot of smiles on faces. I think it would be a transfer signing that would excite a lot of people.